Welcome to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast, where you'll hear inspirational stories, encouraging news, and in-depth interviews with authors, influencers, CEOs, and thought leaders. Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. Bold ideas, brave pursuits, boundless inspiration. Hi everyone, Dr. Angela here, and thank you so much for joining me for Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. We are starting a look at purposeful aging, finding fulfillment in later life. This is not about retirement for a younger person, but this is looking at the traditional understanding or the traditional sense of being a retired person and what does that mean. So, again, welcome to Purposeful Aging, Finding Fulfillment in Later Life. Now, this series is dedicated to exploring how we can find deeper meaning and joy as we grow older. In this three-part series, we'll dive into the journey of aging with intention, embracing the unique opportunities and wisdom that come along with this particular season of life. In our first episode, we'll discuss redefining purpose in retirement, where we explore how retirement isn't the end, but a new beginning, a time to rediscover passions, set new goals, and find a renewed sense of purpose. Next, we'll journey into embracing wisdom and experience, celebrating the wealth of knowledge that comes with age and how it can be used to guide others and shape our communities positively. And last but not least, we'll explore living life to the fullest, staying active and engaged in the golden years. This episode or that episode will focus on the importance of maintaining physical, mental, and social activity to live a vibrant, fulfilling life well into our later years. Whether you're approaching retirement, you're already enjoying it, or simply looking to age with grace and purpose, this series offers insights, inspiration, and practical advice to help you make the most of your incredible journey. Let's redefine aging and retirement together. So, again, welcome to Redefining Purpose in Retirement, part one of a three-part series. Retirement is often seen as the end of a career, but what if it's really the beginning of something even more meaningful? Well, in this episode, we'll explore how to transform this new chapter into a time of rediscovery and growth. Whether you're ready to reignite old passions, explore new interests, or contribute your wisdom in a fresh way, this episode will guide you through the exciting possibilities that retirement can offer. Let's challenge the conventional views of retirement and embrace it with a time for purposeful living. Your best years may be just around the corner. Redefining retirement as a new beginning. Now, for many people, this sounds like an odd concept, but we're finding in today's modern times, retirement doesn't take on the same old moniker that it used to. Instead of viewing retirement as the end of a professional journey, many see it as a chance to start fresh. It's a time to rediscover passions, hobbies, and dreams that may have been set aside. Now, many times you have spent 20 plus years in a particular career field and you have several options. If you are one of those military persons who joined very early in life, let's say you joined when you were 20. For easy math, you do 20 years. That means that you're 40, 1, 2, 3 when you retire. That's awesome. You have the option of starting something fresh, of starting an entirely new or different career path You can do another 20 years and still just be in your 60s. Now, many folks will say that, well, Dr. Angela, I've already worked a career. I've already done a job. I don't know if I want to do that again. Understood. That's how we can tap into those things that were pushed aside. That's why we may look at hobbies or dreams that you once had that really used to ignite a spark, bring some passion into your lives that may just very well be the thing that you're looking for. An everyday example of this is a former teacher begins tutoring underprivileged children in her community, or perhaps finding a renewed purpose in mentoring the next generation. Perhaps you're a male teacher who decides that you want to open a camp, a retreat, some type of rites of passage for young boys in your community. A retired engineer starts building model trains, something he's always wanted to do but never had the time for. Next thing you know, you're starting your own model train club and introducing model trains to the next generation. Now, sometimes the things we do may have a proclivity to gender or ethnicity, so we're going to look at that as well. Many times, men and women may approach this differently, with men sometimes needing to redefine their identity outside of their careers, while women might find it easier to embrace new roles within their career track. Now, cultural expectations may be something to look at as well. They may influence how different groups of people view their retirement. Now, of course, you're going to do what is culturally acceptable to not only yourself, but to those around you. Of course, I'm not suggesting that you do anything that's going to bring any harm, hurt, or shame to you, your family, or your culture. But some may see it as a time to rest, while others may see it as a time to fly, to do something different. And yet others may see it as a time to do a little bit of both, where you may not work every day, but you may decide to soar on certain days and be an encouragement to your community. Number two, leveraging your lifelong skills and knowledge. Now, leveraging your skills and knowledge is so important. What you know, what you have gained along the way, will take someone else also a lifetime to gather. So, retirement doesn't mean leaving behind the skills and knowledge you've acquired over the years. Instead, it's an opportunity to apply them in a new way or pass them on to others. Now that we have social media, there's no reason why you couldn't share your information, your knowledge base on those platforms. We all love a helpful uncle or auntie. We all love that endearing grandpa or grandmother that's helping us with those practical life tips. I know that I follow a few myself. It's just really endearing to see what they have to share. Now, you have to get in where you fit in. So perhaps you have no desire to share about your career, but you do want to pass on those family recipes, maybe cooking or being an organizational diva is your thing. Or perhaps you like to share about a particular vice. Are cigars your thing? And you want to share your knowledge base? It doesn't matter, right? What I'm saying is think outside of the box and share that information. For whatever you want to share, there is going to be an audience for it. If you like it, someone else is going to like it too. So find where you fit in on social media. An everyday example of this when it comes to your career path, a retired business executive starts a consulting startup, right? And they offer valuable insights while staying engaged with the business world. So they're still connected to their passion, but they're not working that 9 to 5. Again, the social media outlet is also a possibility because you're going to be able to tap in to a totally different audience. You can now be a consultant and do freelance work, work when you want to work, choose your own hours, as opposed to Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, let's say. Or you're doing workshops, webinars. You decide that you want to be a speaker about that particular topic. There's so many other ways that you can be tuned in and be able to share your expertise. A retired nurse, for example, may volunteer at a local health clinic, using her experience to help underserved populations. So many times you can parlay what you do into a volunteer opportunity, into a paid opportunity, or a little bit of both. I always say if you can do a little bit of both, then do that. But if nothing else, volunteer at a place that you know really and truly appreciates what you have to offer. Now, when it comes to gender and ethnicity, let's look at those considerations as well. Now, we know that historically, women have leaned more into a nurturing role, like mentoring and volunteering, while men have a tendency to gravitate towards those things that are more of an advisory role. Ethnicity can play a role in the type of community services or mentoring that you wish to do, and is often included by cultural values as well as the needs of the community. So, by all means, if you feel comfortable doing something according to your gender, do that. If you feel that there is a need that you can take care of and it is a cultural expression, then do that. But don't be limited by your gender or your ethnicity to be able to help the community at large. But there's definitely those two places that always will need your help. Women always need women to help with women's services. If you are a person of color, your culture, your ethnicity are always going to value someone of the culture, of the ethnicity, sharing in a community setting. So please, by all means, consider all places that you can volunteer your time or be of a help. Number three, exploring new passions and interests. Exploring your new passions, your new interests. And I say that again because many times we have a tendency to only look at the things that we used to do. I want for you to be able to look at the things that you can do. As you have grown and matured, your likes and dislikes have also changed. So, why not look into those new things? So, retirement is the perfect time for you to pursue interests and hobbies that you never had time to do before during your working years when you were still raising your family. Whether it's art or travel or learning something entirely new, this is a time for you to explore. An everyday example of this would be a retired accountant takes up painting. You're turning a lifelong interest into a thriving small business selling your artwork. Remember how you said when you used to go to the farmer's market to get your fruits and veggies that you wish that you too could be one of the vendors here at the farmer's market selling whatever you could possibly think of or create. Now is your opportunity to do that. You could sell it, or perhaps you use that farmer's market just as a time to display, to showcase your wares, and to have conversations with members of the community. Whether it's art or travel or learning something entirely new, this is your time to explore. And it is really, really exciting to have this particular time in your life. Now, another individual may start to learn a new language and plans a trip to immerse themselves in the culture. Now, it can be something that you decide that you've always wanted to take a trip to a particular place. And the only thing that was holding you back is that you only speak your language, but you really wanted to be a little bit, at least be able to have conversation in the language of the place in which you wanted to visit. Here's a great time to not only learn the language, at least on a conversational level, but to, really plan and spend some time there, not just 2 or 3 days, but perhaps a week or two. But if you're retired, perhaps you can even spend a month there and really put your toes in the sand, really breathe in that clean mountain air, whatever it is. Just really enjoy your time there and immerse yourself in the culture. Again, looking at gender or ethnicity considerations, both men and women might pursue their passions, but women may tend to fulfill in a creative way or in a community based type activity. Of course, this is just statistically speaking. Now, ethnicity wise, we can find that the influence is so important. Ethnicity can influence the type of interest that you pursue, such as exploring a particular area that you feel may not be getting enough attention in today's society. Or perhaps you're looking at your activity from a cultural perspective. You want to travel according to the culture. You want to look at art according to the culture. There are so many different ways that you are able to do something different according to who you are. Perhaps you've taken one of those DNA tests and you just found out that you have a particular ethnicity group that you never knew anything about, right? That it was a 4 or 5 times grandparent that introduced that into your lineage. Now would be a great time to visit that country, to be able to find out a little bit more about that part of your DNA. What a great way to explore. Now, I find that many times when we are introduced to something, we find out that, wow, you've always liked it. You've always wanted it. You've always found an interest in it. You just didn't know why. And come to find out, it is because it is a part of who you are. So it is wonderful how things tend to work out like that. So, I hope that I have really given you something to think about, that I've given you something to kind of make you say, yeah, let's shake it up a bit. Just because you are retired, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to just go home and, watch game shows all day. It doesn't mean that you're just gonna, spend time on your deck, you and your dog. Life continues on and you have so much to share. If you are in any way able to share your stories, your information, your wisdom, and your knowledge, please consider doing so. Perhaps you want to start a podcast and share that information. Again, take to social media or have a blog. It doesn't matter as long as you are sharing in some way, shape, or form. If you have a feeling to do so, I think that you will find that it is so incredibly fulfilling, and someone is going to be so grateful that you did. Thank you for listening to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.